Ugh, it's so bad. It's so bad. But I love it. This time on the Dirthead Shed, we're gonna start getting the old Mustang 2 ready for a cool paint job. We have a lot of body work to do though. You can notice there I'm going back a little bit. I had to wipe the old primer off because it never dried. So today it's time to get started on the big project of prepping this thing for a paint job. I've been wanting to paint the Mustang since I got it, and it does have kind of cool patina on it, but it's not great. And I'm really not a patina guy, so check this out. I ended up, this is stuff I borrowed from my neighbor, he'll be here in a minute. I ended up getting a full paint kit, primer, paints, solvents, like everything I need to paint this car from Summit Racing. I've got some cool primers in there, some body filler, I've got some paint, and we will get into that later, but it's pretty cool. That's like fairly inexpensive. I think I've got probably about 450 bucks worth of materials there. And that should be enough to do all the body and paint work on this rig. So we're going to tear into it, and I've still got to finish welding a bunch of stuff up. I got to do a bunch of rust repair down in the quarters, and we're gonna like start tackling all that kind of stuff today. My neighbor AJ is gonna be coming by. He's actually an old school painter from back in the day. Still relevant though. He's teaching classes at a local college, and he's also a PPG paint representative. So even though I'm not using PPG paint, he was like, sure, I'll help you out. So AJ will be here shortly, and we're gonna start figuring out the game plan and tackling body work on this rig. All right, AJ's over here helping on the rig, detrimming and tracking down mice nests. Found all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still in there. Good. Look at this. That was, oh, that's really bright.
Got a family of 10 living in there.
Yeah. We're about to evict them. Yeah, this thing's still junk. No matter how much work we do to it, it's always going to be junk. It's getting there, though.
It's going to be pretty junk.
Pretty junky.
Pretty junk. Gonna put some lipstick on there.
There we go. Fender trim and side markers and all that stuff are coming off. And then we're gonna pull the door panels off and pop the side trim off, and then figure out if that's gonna stay or if it's going away. Kind of feel like it needs to stay, but it's like kind of more work to make it look good. We'll see how it looks when we pull it off of there. In the meantime, I'm over here still messing with mom's spaghetti and this simple like paint parts and put them back together process, which is becoming a royal pain in the butt. I have been dealing with rusty heim joints and all kinds of junk over here. Make sure you use anti-seize on everything. Anti-seize everything. This is so dumb. I should have done it. I sort of put this thing together really quick to get it out the door, and I should have taken it back apart in order to make sure that it was all anti-seized up. This is the big question at hand right now, is side trim or no side trim. This side kind of has the fender trim pulled off of it now, and the door trim actually came off pretty easily, but this side is damaged. It's got a big old wanger in it right there. So AJ and I are going over it, talking about if we want to go with trim or no trim. I like how fancy things look with trim, but it seems counterproductive to like pull the trim off and then put banged up trim back on it. Pros and cons. The doors actually seem like they would be pretty easy to shave because they just have these little rivets on them.
Yeah.
And we'll weld those up. 2 holes there. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're going to leave the trim off of this. It'd be cool to find some old like stainless trim from the 90s like the mini trucks had, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that for a Mustang too. Yeah, all this trim you can see here, there's dings all throughout it, and then the door one is just got a big dent in it. Thing's really straight though. All in all, other than that back quarter panel, that thing's hammered. I have no idea why I'm doing all this work to a Mustang 2, but it's about to get done. We're back in the shop. It is going to be a long few days in the shed. That's going to be awesome. It is Christmas break, so it's time to get busy. The old Mustang is up on jack stands. We were out here the other night detrimming it and getting parts off of it. So today it's time to start welding holes up, fixing rust. And start messing with bodywork a little bit. This is going to be a big project, so I hope you guys are ready for a whole bunch of bodywork. I'll try and keep it entertaining, but we'll see how it goes. There's really nothing fun about sand and Bondo. Speaking of that, I'm going to be trying some new stuff out. I keep hearing good stuff about this UPOL Fantastic Glass, so I want to try that out. Grabbed a couple of little tools and some extra paper. I got a ton of product from Summit in order to paint this car and do body work on it, but I didn't really get enough like 36 grit, coarse grit longboard paper. So quick trip to O'Reilly and we are pretty well dialed in and broke. Whatever. Well, I also got batteries for my remote for my Super Duty because I can't unlock the doors. So I'm going to come over here, drag the welder over, and we're going to start welding up holes. We're going to weld up trim holes, we're going to weld up side marker holes, and we have a whole bunch of rust repair to do on this back quarter panel. Man, I got too much junk. I mean gold. Welder, follow me. We got work to do. Somebody needs to come buy this extra set of fender flares for a Super Duty. I'm not going to use them. All right, we got the welder here. Let's go find a chair and some sheet metal and we'll start just working on this car. Grab the safety glasses, bust out the old sander. Got this paint off of there. Now we'll use the rotary file. And just kind of get some paint out from inside the hole. Let me go get something to back it with. Since it's just a little 1/4 inch hole, we can just grab like a piece of aluminum or a piece of copper to back that with and then weld it and not have to make, we won't have to make a filler piece, and we won't end up with a water trap. The thing with the water trap, like if you take a piece of sheet metal and put it on from the back and then weld it in, then you create a spot for like water to get behind those. And this being right by the wheel well and open, we got to make sure that we don't create a problem there. I went into the house and had a chunk of copper from doing some plumbing in the basement. So what I'm going to do here is hammer one in flat and create a surface that I can weld against. I think what I'm going for here is to kind of double this up thickness wise, that way it can take a little bit more heat. That's looking pretty good. All right, now I've got my little weld backer. This piece of copper tubing. The copper won't stick to the MIG weld, and that'll allow me to use this thing over and over again. And we'll see how it works. It's been a long time since I've done this, so this is the idea. Basically, make something that you can reach in the backside of the hole with. It'll allow me to like do a little MIG weld without the wire just shooting through and blowing bigger holes. cool that down a little bit. Look at that. Welding holes up. That's what we do. Work on cars and cut, grind, weld. Cut, grind, weld, repeat. Like it was never there. Yeah, pretty good. Let's move on to something else. So I've got this sort of DA'd down to where I can put a little bit of filler in there and make that hole disappear completely. And then just kind of feeling what we got to work with on this whole fender. And I've got a low spot right here, a low spot right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and DA these sections out pretty good as well. And then if you look under here, there is some fender, the fender lip here is kind of boogered up, and that's because when I drive it super low, my tire hits it. So at some point I'm gonna need to go under here and kind of fold that fender lip up, and hopefully in the process I don't like create some other problems. But yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is just sort of work this thing one panel at a time and see if I can get like this panel like straight, the marker light welded up, get that welded up, and get this thing to where it's kind of ready for primer before I go and move on to another one. These little guys are probably small enough dings that I could just bury it in primer and block it a couple times, but I can also just do a swipe of filler on it and it won't be too much work. Let's go, we're gonna start using these Summit products that I got. We've got a gallon of their body filler here, so we'll grab that. Oh my gosh, that's heavy. And then where's my other stuff's over here. We're not using this stuff anymore. Yuck, garbage. Probably need to just throw that out, take it to the dump. Let some other guy get it, their body products at the dump. Oh boy, that is a full gallon. A lot of these body fillers and stuff now, they're kind of like shorten you and not giving you full gallons of stuff, even though it's in a gallon container. Not this one. That is to the top. Good work, Summit. Got our filler there. I got some hardener cream, kind of old stuff. Probably used way too much right there. Watch this. Get rid of some of that over there. Now we're good to go. My Bondo board that I use, I always just make them out of a chunk of aluminum sheet metal, and I use them over and over and over again. Alright, that's looking pretty good. I have a feeling this filler's going to be pretty decent. Alright, let's go get it on the car. Yeah, I mixed way more than I needed here. We'll work this area that's bigger than the dents are, and that allows you to feather it out and hopefully get the thing dialed in like one pass instead of many passes. Day one of body working for a big project, so right now I'm going to be kind of rusty. Got to start somewhere though. I was like kind of psyching myself out on this project, and I needed to get over that and just get busy. That first coat of filler has had probably 15 minutes to dry. I also have an infrared light that I'm borrowing from AJ, so that should kind of help speed a bunch of this stuff up. I'm gonna go ahead and block this thing down and see where we're at. I'm just hitting it with a foam block and 80 grit real quick. Actually, I think that's 40 grit. That stuff sands really well. Can't complain. I need to get tire covers. Tire covers. They've got those at Harbor Freight. I'll probably make a run down there later today. I roughed that up with 40 grit. You can see this is where that dent was, and I'm just kind of feathering out the whole rest of the area around it. So I'm gonna switch to an 80 grit paper, and then we should be able to block this out until it's almost ready for primer in one swipe. Apparently, if you want to stay warm in the winter, do bodywork projects. It's freaking hot in here now. I had to turn the heater down in the shop. That little infrared deal is just making it like an oven over here, which is cool. It's making this Bondo or this filler kick properly and quick. So I'm kind of moving through it. This, where I welded that hole up, is just got a little bit of a low spot down here still. So I'll like have to do a little second swipe on there. And then this one up here just kind of went away with no trouble at all. So there's dents all throughout this thing. Like there's another low spot over here. So this whole car is gonna be, I'm gonna chase little dents everywhere. You can see here, there's a little dent there. So we'll figure it out as we go. I think the goal is to try and get this fender, kind of all the welding and stuff done on it today. And back here I was fighting with where the primer never dried. So, and I had a little bit of a low spot throughout here. So I went ahead and put another swipe on there. I'm gonna work out that low spot that I was gonna try and work out in primer, but I figure I might as well do it with filler, and we'll get it closer. So it's gonna be a battle getting this thing ready for paint. Junkyard to show car. We'll see if we can make it happen. This fender's looking good and smooth, the top part at least, and now it's time to go over here and start filling in this marker light hole. I think I'm going to go about it by using part of the roof skin that we cut out for the rag top, and I will go and cut a little strip out with the double cut shears. And we'll cut that out, and then we'll start fitting it in there and figuring out how to make this thing look good. We'll start by just working it out. I think these long cuts I might go and use the Portaband. That'll do a good job of cutting those straight pieces and not really warping the sheet metal a whole bunch. That's cool. That was pretty effortless. This is pretty good. I think I just have a little bit of sanding to do on here. That's a good fit. All right, I gotta get my welder before I screw this up. We gotta get this thing tacked in. Now we're cooking. I'll go ahead and finish welding this thing all the way around and fill in all these voids. On these spots where I have a little bit of a gap, I'll probably take that piece of copper, that copper backing thing, and put it back there. That way I don't blow a bunch of wire through it. So yeah, pretty stoked. That was quick and easy. Let's see if I can finish welding it without screwing it up too bad. Pretty hard butt welding like 18 gauge steel, especially if you like over here where I hit it a little too hot and I burned a big hole. So then you just gotta kind of work your way around that hole and fill it in. But hopefully not with so much heat that you like ruin the panel. There it is. Welded up the marker lights, side markers, shaved side markers. Dude, this thing's full custom now. Yeah. that's looking good. Not getting too hot. All right, I'm gonna keep grinding out the weld and making sure that all this is ready for filler. Basically trying to make sure that everything is down to clean metal. Climb under here with the air sander and just kind of knock some of the weld bearings. Cleaning the back of that up. Cleaning the back side of that up is just going to make it so that when I go and primer the back and like spray a little undercoating on there, it's less likely to have like pockets for water and stuff to get trapped. So get a little bit of a low spot. Should be good to put some filler on. Let's go mix up some of the fiberglass reinforced stuff I bought. So fiberglass reinforced filler is for places where it really needs to be kind of high strength. And right over the top of these welds is like a perfect example of that. Never used this stuff. Not really sure what to expect. The consistency of it is definitely looks like it's going to be nicer to work with than Marglass. Oh wow. If I was working with Marglass right now, I would really be fighting it as far as getting the hardener mixed in. This stuff, even though it has what appears to be just as much fiberglass strand in it, it seems like it mixes a whole lot easier. Typically with these fiberglass fillers, they're so hard to work with that you just kind of like get the bare minimum on there just so that you can get done with it and move on. If this stuff sands as good as it's going on here, it's going to be a game changer. Let this finish kicking off and we will knock it down and see what it says. Super cool. Whew, it's got some heat in it. It seems like it should sand. It'll probably clog paper a little bit right now. So I'm trying to find something that's got some old 40 grit on it. You really want to work with it quick and make sure you get it knocked down before it fully cures. Because once this stuff fully cures, man, you almost have to get after it with a grinder. I think I let it set up too long. Let's see if this will get it. All right, that's working good. Let me put a respirator on. It's working good. I used a little too much filler and now I'm kind of paying for it. So I just gotta sand it down and then start with regular filler after this. But this should be good. Super strong right over that weld that I made. If there's an elephant in the room, this is it. This is what I've been sort of dancing around and not fixing. So I guess right now it's time to quit screwing around, cut this rust out, and start repairing this thing. I've got rust and cracks and problems all the way up to here, all the way down over into this area. So We're gonna probably sort of take it in small chunks and then see where it ends up telling us to go. I am not super good at rust repair. So we'll figure it out as we go, I guess. Get this wheel out of the way. Man, I had those really tight. These things are so much easier to deal with than 40s. There's a bunch of rust right here too. I don't know if that's just from the fender trim. Let's sand on it and see. That's all the way through. Darn it. This thing's gonna fight me every inch of the way. Why am I tackling this beast? I should be putting this effort into... I feel like this effort could probably be going into the Mercury because it has a bunch of this type of work that needs done. I almost feel like I need to like repair this section all the way up to here as one project and then come back down here once that's a little more sturdy and repair this. Maybe if I keep my workspace clean, then I won't feel like it's such a big project. I've got some rust holes up in here, which are pretty substantial, and it makes me think like this whole wheel arch is probably packed full of sand and debris. So let's just see if we can get some of that out of there with air. I went ahead and cut the outer lip off of that, and this inner one was also rusted out. So we're gonna go over to the bench and try and duplicate this a slightly bit larger out of another piece of metal, and then I guess it's time to start the repair process. I'm gonna start by cutting off a big piece of usable sheet or a chunk from this roof skin. Something that we can make a bunch of little pieces out of. This is my old reliable Harbor Freight hand shear. Basically this is a Harbor Freight copy of a Beverly shear. I think I've shown it in a video before. These are like, they're under $100 I believe, and they are amazing. It just like makes super quick work out of some of this kind of stuff. I don't have a shrinker stretcher, so some of this is going to be pretty crude. Well, all of it's going to be pretty crude. Let's bend a flange in this. This was a tool that I bought a little while back. Basically, this is a 48-inch finger brake from Eastwood, and I bought this because I knew I had a bunch of sheet metal projects coming up as far as the Nissan went, and my Mercury if I ever get to working on it again. These are pretty handy to have around. They take up a lot of space, but they definitely help get stuff done. Next up is the part where it'd be nice to have a shrinker and a stretcher, and that's a tool that basically takes this flange and can make it have an arc to it. I do not have one of those. I probably should buy a shrinker stretcher, but I don't know. I just haven't yet. So I'm gonna see what I can do as far as just hammering it out. Let's see if this works. This is like a big, round, heavy plate that I have that I just bought at the scrapyard that I use on my press. Let's see if I can either form it this way. That ain't gonna work. I think if I take and form it this way, As I stretch this out, it should create an arc. Yeah, we're getting it. Can't really probably see it too well, but you can see like just by hammering this flange out, it's sort of stretching that metal and creating an arc in the other side. So that was flat a second ago. And let me show it on something. Yeah, it's got about 3/16 of an inch arc to it. We'll keep hammering it and see where we end up. Rust repair is always a pain because it's like a mix of how much are you gonna do and how much are you gonna, I don't know, how far are you really gonna take it, you know? That's a pretty good fit. This is working really well. You can kind of see here, like going through and doing all my tack welds. So this should actually look really good from both sides of the car. I'll get this thing all welded in and then I'll kind of hammer and dolly that lip a little bit. And then we will start figuring out where to go from here. They say rust never sleeps, which is pretty darn accurate. This stuff, no matter what, is always in your car or whatever, trying to cause problems. I think for some inner structure, that's pretty good to go. I'll grab my grinder and sand down that a little bit. I'll take these edges that are where the other metal's going to overlap it and really clean that up. And then we will start working on the next piece. All right, we're back in here. I wasn't really going to show this part because I thought it was going to be boring, but it's turning out to be kind of cool. I've got another strip of sheet metal in here that I made fit the inside and the outside kind of radius a little bit. And then it has holes drilled in it every couple inches so that I can do a rosette weld. So I'm just kind of fitting this along in here, and by doing this it'll give me something that mimics the stock inner structure and gives me something to build off of. So that'll make it to where I just basically like spot weld these and then I can go back, sand this edge, and then I'll weld this edge to that edge, fill this little piece here. Where are my gloves at? Anybody seen my air blower? There it is. Since this is a butt weld or a fillet weld, I guess you'd call it, I've got to make sure that I weld it with enough penetration that I can kind of sand it off and give it a rounded edge. That way it kind of mimics the look of the stock sheet metal. All in all, this is going pretty good. I feel like we're on the right track. So now it's time to go up to the front here and start making this piece. I know this isn't what you want to see, but I gotta get the old Mustang out of the shop for a minute so I can work on my Suzuki. I'll show you in a minute why. I hate pulling something unfinished outside just to do maintenance kind of junk. Come on, car. Into the snow. I got too many cars right now. It's hard to keep up on all of them. In typical daily driver repair fashion, I've waited until it's way beyond due, and I'm going to try and fix it as quick and down and dirty as possible. This thing has been a really good rig for the last 1.5 or 2 years or however long I've had it. I do the oil on it. I change the oil every 3,000 miles, like on the dot. I've been rotating the tires every 6,000 miles on the dot. And other than that, like other than the big prep job I did to go to Utah or Colorado with it, I haven't really done much. It's time to do the brakes though, because they're grinding and that's not good. All right, here is where the problem lies. I've checked the brakes on this thing a few times and they never seemed like they were that bad. But over the last few weeks, months, I've been hearing kind of like a whirling, grinding noise. Well, look at that. We are through the pad, into the backer, and have destroyed that rotor. All right, check this out. So, yeah, there's no pad left. I don't know what I was thinking. You can also see in here now kind of how everything on that lift kit looks a year later and driving in salty, like winter weather. There's some corrosion. Let's see, the powder coat looks good on the spring. I'm not seeing anything there, but there's a little bit of rust on the shock body, which that's kind of expected. About probably 2 months ago, when I knew I was getting close on needing brakes, I jumped on Rock Auto's website and I ordered new rotors and pads. I went ahead and got Power Stop Evolution Plus pads, which I think they're probably an OE grade. I'm sure they're OE grade ceramic pads. They were all really pretty inexpensive. I'm hoping that this is kind of a little bit of an upgrade. If nothing else, it's better than bad, which is what we got going on right now. All right, caliper bracket is off. And let's look at that pad. Oh yeah, it's bad. It looks like we went metal to metal. Not too long ago, but look at the angle on that thing. Like, the pad still has probably 2 millimeter on the bottom and it's metal on top. Rotor's trashed. Gosh, this is gonna be so good. Kidding me? Brakes? This thing's almost too nice to drive now. There's a little bit of grease in the pinholes and the new clips are on with a little bit of grease on those as well. So now it's time to throw the pads on. It's kind of important to figure out the way to get them to go to where you push down on the spring and then sort of roll it in, and they fit nice and tight. If you kind of cram them in there, you could break one of these little stainless clips or bend it over or just sort of create a problem that doesn't need to be there. So I'm going to also take a little bit of this grease, put a little dab out here also where the caliper kind of rides on it, where these guys ride. And I think we are good to go to bolt the caliper on now. Okay, I'm gonna grab the regular ratchet, tighten that up to where I feel comfortable with it. I don't usually crank on these caliper bolts super hard. There we go, brake job is done. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of hose down the inner fender well with some silicone spray. When I first bought this thing, I had done a little bit of fluid film on it, but I don't have any left, so I figure this is what I've got and it's better than nothing. See if we can keep some of this rust to a minimum. All right, busted out some rust repair and body work on the Mustang and had to do an emergency brake job on the old Suzuki. Tire rotation, I'm gonna lower some air pressure so this thing smashes in the snow. That's it for this Dirthead Shed. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week.